Welcome to Women Who Shine series. I'm your host, Melissa Banks, and I'm excited that you decided to join us today. This is where we celebrate women who are walking in their purpose, breaking barriers, and lighting the way for others. Each woman featured here has a story that reminds us of the power of faith, resilience, and determination. Today, we're shining the spotlight on Dr. Teresa A. Smith, a woman whose journey is not only inspiring, but also a beautiful reminder that when women shine, we give others permission to shine too. Dr. Toss, thank you for being here today and for sharing your light with us.
Thank you so much, Melissa, for having me with you. I look forward to letting our light shine.
Yes, yes, yes. And you're already shining sitting over there. You look amazing. Thank you
Thank you.
again for being here. Dr. Toss, let's just start at the beginning of the journey. Everybody's journey is different, but there's a beginning. And one of the things in my journey that I've realized is there were different moments that changed me. Something
Mhm.
happened that changed my thought process or changed the way I felt, it changed the way I did things. And I consider those turning point moments in my on my journey. I want you to share with us a turning point moment on your journey, whether it was a triumph or a struggle, but something that happened that just changed who you are and made you into the person you are today.
Melissa, again, thank you. That's such a loaded question. My journey, just for your audience, my backstory is that I was abused at the age of 4. I lost my uncle was shot and killed Sunday, January 1st, 1978. He was a Vietnam veteran. He was killed by the police in front of me and my mom and my dad. And that next year, I lost my sight in March. And things began to shift a little bit from me there. I went from being a person who had perfect attendance in school, and then once I got sick, I no longer had perfect attendance. And so I missed quite a bit of that academic year. But of course, I was still able to keep up with my classmates. But that really began to make the change for me. My mom took me to see a therapist, which opened my mind to, oh, well, maybe I want to work in we would now say the behavior health area. And it just kind of began to shape who I was becoming. I'd always said I wanted to go to law school or either be a doctor. And so that's what my family and community knew. But that incident, and then me subsequently losing my sight for a while, that really began to change who I was as a person and how I actually interacted with other people and the schemas that I put in mind about how I was going to live my life. So that was really probably that turning point for me.
Oh wow, that you just started out so powerful, and I didn't know some parts of that story. I did know some parts of it, but I didn't know about the site. I don't know why I didn't know about that. I didn't know about the loss of the site. So all those things did shape who you are. That was quite a beginning. Thank you for sharing that. So, Dr. Toss, when you hear "woman who shine," what is that? How does that resonate with you? I know when I say it, it causes. I can't say it without smiling. It makes me feel excited. So, how does that resonate with you? And what does it truly mean for you to step in your own light and allow others to see it?
Melissa, I'm writing this down because women who shine, you can't help but smile. But what it says to me, though, is in order to be able to shine, you really have to own who you are. And that means some days I don't shine, people. Let me be the first one to tell you. Some days I am beside myself. And so for me at this moment in time, it's all about the shining is all about regaining control over my life because I'm gonna be very transparent. I'd lost control. I thought I had control, but I hadn't. Now you know, Melissa, that I had I had gastric sleeve surgery as a result of Graves' disease. And food is very important to me, but it's the protein component of food that's important to me. And so what I realized fairly recent was that I wasn't shining because I was eating, but I wasn't eating the volume of food that I needed to eat. So therefore, I wasn't getting my proper nutrition. And folks may say, well, why does she say that when we're talking about women who shine? You can't shine if you don't take care of yourself.
Mhm.
You just can't. And I thought I was taking care of myself, but there were areas of my life that I wasn't. And so when I sat down with the nutritionist, I'm like, I don't know why this is happening. And I did a little diary, and she said, well, you're not eating enough food. And when she told me what my protein intake was, she just took an average day, and it was like at 40. Well, I need at least 85 grams of protein a day at a minimum. And most people probably can get 25, 40, almost 40 in one meal. I can't. And so when it comes to shining, I go back to this adage of let your light shine. But we let our light shine outward, but it has to shine inward before we can then let the charity spread abroad. So I'm with you. Yes, I smile when I think about women who shine, but we can't shine unless we align ourselves with our purpose. And you can't do your purpose if you don't take care of you first. And it's like sometimes I think we have to consistently give ourselves permission. And I'm telling myself, you don't have to have permission to shine. And shine can be anything now. You don't have to have permission to put on pearls. If you want to wear pearls, put on your pearls. You don't have to have permission to be a blonde. If you want to be a blonde, and they like, well, how that dark woman a blonde? Because I'm a blonde. I'm not a brunette. Um, those sorts of things. I just think that women who shine, they recognize their strengths, they recognize their faults, but they walk in both of them without apology.
Absolutely. That's it, Dr. Todd. And frankly, I have no idea how many proteins I
I know. I know.
have no idea about that kind of stuff because I'm so not healthy when it comes to eating. But when I look at women who make me shine, these are women like yourself who are confident, who show up even when the world is not looking good. And we're going to talk about that in a little while. And they have something to say. Their smile encourages you. And they may be not having a good day. And another thing you said that was really great to me is, you know what? I recognize that I haven't been shining like I want to. And so that's a big thing for women to do,
Mhm.
to just recognize it. But when you show up and your light is shining for all of us. So thank you.
Thank
Okay, so
you.
Dr. Cost, let's talk about this a little bit. People look at us, yourself, other women that's out and doing a lot of things, and they think there must not be any challenges, right?
Mm,
But you and I both know that success or in whatever area you are does not come without challenges. So
mhm,
share with us a moment that you were tested, that maybe you
mhm.
doubted yourself, or maybe the world was just noisy and there was so much going on you didn't know whether to go left or right or straight. Share with us how were you able to gain your strength and to rise above what was happening and to keep going.
Well, I'll say this. I was torn with a decision, and I won't share what the decision was, but I was torn with a decision, and I didn't know which way to go. And I had been seeking counsel from God. I'd been talking to some trusted friends and family members, but I still didn't know which way to go. And a messenger was sent to me, and this messenger, one of the last times I spoke with the messenger, they said to me, your motivation has always been to motivate other people. You have now got to turn that internal in order to sustain who you are. And they said to me, you're all about affirmations, and I am. And basically, what they're trying to get me to understand, you have now got to affirm yourself. It has to be intentional. And so I was doing some writing that will eventually be published, and I thought about what the person was saying to me. And so I started scripting some things down, and I don't really do journals. A lot of people do, but my journal is my writing, because I know you do journals, Melissa, but my journal is my writing because I'm always writing something somewhere. And so I started to pour into myself. And so it's almost like I don't know why I want to say a soliloquy. It's almost like a one woman act. I hadn't thought about it that way. And so I read it over and over again. And so what's happening is it's like it's beginning to get into my cells and it's permeating throughout my body. And what it's saying to me is somehow, for me personally, I had disconnected from my core. And the core for me is God, who always instructs me because of the noise, because of that noise that you're alluding to. And the noise can be so many different things. It can be family, it can be organizations, it could be yourself, it could be work. But the noise was overtaking me. And so I was going under. And so the messenger really has helped me to remember who I am. And another thing that I've started doing, Melissa, that may help folks, my thing is I have to have a certain amount of time that I communicate with God. And it's just a certain way that I do it. I had gotten off schedule. So now I'm making that time a priority. But the flip side of it in the humanist, I'm making me a priority. Yes, I'm communicating with him. I'm reading the Bible. I'm writing little stuff as it pops in my brain. But more importantly, I'm making me a priority. And as I read things, he gives me ideas. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm jotting things down for to use at some other place. But the mere act of sitting down and doing that on schedule, the mere act of reciting this one woman play in my head, telling myself who I am and that I'm worthy, and on and on and on and on, that helps me to begin to shine because the light was dimming, but I was allowing the light to dim them. I can't blame anybody else.
So the key is you gave yourself permission, and then you were intentional. And
Yes,
that's what I want to make sure women hear when they hear this episode is if you were intentional. Once you recognize it, first you got to recognize it
yes.
and then become intentional. And that's what I heard, and that's how you're able to rise above it. So, Dr. Taz, we celebrate others. Oftentimes women, we kind of downplay little things that happen for us. Yeah, I did that. We talk about it, but we don't make a big deal of it. When
Mhm.
somebody else, it happens to somebody else, we're making a big
Yes.
deal.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah,
want
yeah.
you to just, yes, exactly. So I want you to take this moment and celebrate you. Clap for yourself. What is one achievement, Dr. Toss? Tell us about an achievement that you had. When you think about it, you relive that moment and you feel proud and happy and excited just by thinking about that moment.
There's so many, Melissa, but I'm going to say when my book Stronger was awarded and of course I just happened to have the second edition here, but when my book Stronger was awarded the first place winner for nonfiction by Chosen Pen Publishing, that was huge for me because it's my story. And to know that it resonated with people, and it's like, I've worked so hard to shift from who that person was to who I am now. And I don't think that when it happened in December of 2024, I don't think the reality of it hit me. It's only hit me recently. What an accomplishment that is. I know folks like, I hit you that late. Yes, because the noise, people, the noise. And it's like something that you poured your heart into, somebody realized that it had value. And it's like, oh my God, thank you. Um, it's a success. And what I'm realizing, because I struggle with it, but I'm getting better with it. This idea of success, for me, coming from the environment that I came from, we really didn't talk about our accolades and things of that nature. So now I'm having to stretch myself to realize you need to do that because it's not boasters, but it will give someone else who may have lived your life or have can relate to bits and pieces. It gives them hope. Maybe they're not going to write a book. Maybe they just want to do X, Y, Z, but it lets them know that just because they start here and this has happened to them, they can move forward and whatever they define as success, they can have it just because of what you did. And I
Right.
think, Melissa, sometimes about like, celebrity actors and things of that nature, and we'll hear them talking about, I work this job, I work that job, this, and then eventually they get their big break. And it's that big break that then continues to propel them. Well, we I think sometimes we get fixated on what happens after the big break. We hear them talking about what happened before, but it's the before that really shapes them, that then helps them to understand I was here and now I'm here. And likewise, we have to look at it the same way. And so for me, like I said, when my book was first place, nonfiction, I never I never thought about my book being award winning. I never did, because for me it was just me pouring out my heart and soul and trying to help others. And it's like, oh my God, you've done something remarkable, and don't be ashamed to say it. Yeah, so that's what I would say to folks. Own your success. Don't let people minimize you, and then you minimize your success. You work for it. There's no reason you should not be able to share it.
Absolutely. And what a wonderful thing is to have your book acknowledged in that way. I'm glad you finally wrapped your mind around it so that you could celebrate that moment and we could celebrate that moment all over again with you
Thank
today.
you.
Okay, Dr. Toss, I want you to speak to a woman who is listening to you and all the great tips that you have shared, parts of yourself that you shared here today. They're listening to you, but they have a dream, but they're just stuck. And it's a big dream. They really want to do it, but they're afraid and they're stuck. So, what would you say to her that will remind her that she has everything she needs inside of her to step out and shine?
The first thing that I would say is write your dream down. Then I would say write down what you think or who you think you have to be in order to achieve that dream. So if there's certain skills that you have to have, write that down. Then what I would urge that person to do is I'm calling it now my one woman show. If they're a person of faith, they can lead off with something, God, blah, blah, blah. If they're not a person of faith and they just believe in the universe, then lead off however they would normally do that. But let what they put down as the skills or the abilities that are needed for that particular dream, start reciting that every day, reciting it. And what happens is it really does get into your bloodstream. And then once it's there, and you'll know when it's there because you'll feel different, then you start mapping out the small steps that are necessary to get you to that goal. And then celebrate every success. I don't care. You called somebody that you never thought was going to call you back, and they called you back, and y'all had a 5-minute conversation. Celebrate that, because what you're saying to yourself is, I did a good job. What you're saying to God, if you're a God thinking person, thank you, God. If you're a universe person, you're thinking, the universe is working and helping me. I just have to do my part. And I think when we look at it that way and we actually put it in those small steps and we are constantly pouring into ourselves, we are doing it, then we can make the headway, because this is your dream. It's not Dr. Taz's dream. It's not Melissa's dream. So if you're looking for us to help to tell you that it's okay every day for you to pursue your dream, you can't get that from us every day. But if you give it to yourself multiple times during the day, you'll get there. So you have to be that champion, that cheerleader that will get you to the next stage.
Oh my gosh, Dr. Tosh, you just gave the roadmap, right? Basically, you said write it down. That's where everything starts, guys. Get it out of your head, write it down, determine what's needed to achieve it, and start saying it. Saying
Mhm.
is believing. You've heard me say over and over again, it's in here what you say to yourself. So start saying it and start taking steps. And then another thing you said is celebrate every win. I say that
Everyone.
all the time as well. Celebrate the little bit of stuff that may
Mhm.
not be a big thing, but it will push you and inspire you and excite you about what you want to do. So thank you for that. But Dr. Thomas, one last question I did want to ask you is, we do pour into others so much, right? We pour into our jobs, we pour into our businesses, we pour
Mhm.
into family and friends, and that's all wonderful, but we're always pouring out. How do you make sure that you protect your own light, pour into yourself, and continue to shine without burning out?
Well, I've been a bad girl, and so I've learned that there are times that I have to step back, and what that means is I can only. This is gonna sound really bad, but it's gonna be the truth. I can only be Dr. Taz so much. And what does that mean? I work a full-time job. I'm Dr. Smith on my full-time job. It's a full-time job. I am a daughter, so I'm Teresa. I'm a sister. I'm Teresa. I'm an auntie. So I'm Auntie Teresa. And then I'm Dr. Taz. There's only so many hours in a day. So when I say I can't be Dr. Taz all the time, I cannot. I can't even be all of those different people, those different roles 100%. And a good friend of ours, helped me to understand that you can't give 100% in a day to anything. And they were right. Which means if you think you can do that, you burning out. You don't even understand you burning out because there's not that much time in the day. And so, what I am learning, Melissa, because it's always a learning process with Dr. Taz, is it's okay to set boundaries. I say it, but being able to do it takes something else. And so, with my one woman show, the things that I tell myself multiple times a day, I'm giving myself permission to do that so that I don't burn out. And, I'm constantly looking at what's going to work for me. Is it that I'm going to do XYZ 3 times a month? Am I going to do it 1 time a month? You have to you have to show up as your best self. And if that means that I have to not do something else, then I have to make that decision. And the other thing that I would say, Melissa, to the audience and that person, other people cannot, they can't sanctify you, they can't qualify you, they can't validate you, they can't, whatever it is, they cannot do that. Only you can do that. And if you don't think that you are important enough to do that, folks will let you drive right off the cliff over and over again until there's nothing left. So you have to make up in your mind that you want to shine for you. You can't shine for other people. You want to be a woman that shines for you. And whatever that means when you're in your 30s, that's great. Whatever it means when you're in your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever. At every stage in life, it's going to mean something different. But if you are honest with yourself, you are a success at every stage, and you are a woman who shines, and you are going to continue to shine as long as you stay true to you. And that's what I would say, Melissa. You got to stay true to you.
Absolutely. Wow, that was powerful. This has been an inspiring conversation, Dr. Todd, and I really appreciate you sharing the tips that you shared. I know someone is inspired to believe in themselves, to be intentional, and something you just said, it's okay to set some boundaries, even though you love all those other things that you do. Let our audience know how they can stay connected with you.
Well, the best way is just to follow me on Instagram, Dr. Teresa Smith, and my bio is there up in the top, and just click on that, and it gets you to all my other social media.
Well, thank you again, Dr. Taz, for being here, for opening your heart and sharing your incredible journey with us. Your story is a reminder that no matter where you start, we all have the ability to rise, to dream, and to shine. To every woman watching, I hope you feel encouraged and inspired to keep pushing toward your purpose. I'm your host, Melissa Banks, saying your light is needed, your voice matters, and your shine is powerful. So until next time, keep shining.
Keep shining.